Hello, everybody. We're here for Tuesday Talks. Tuesday Talks is all about getting to know an individual and finding out what makes them tick, what do they care about, how their career reflects that, and what motivates them to keep going. Now, today's guest is Jenny Lee. Jenny uncovered her connection to happiness and inspiration through her morning routines and self-care embodiment. Jenny is now a mindset coach focusing and helping moms take care of themselves and have fun in the mornings to make sure they generate joyful energy that lasts throughout the day. I'm sure we all love to do that, and let's get Jenny on here and get to hear her story about this.
Yay! You can hear
Hello,
me okay?
Jenny. I can hear you. Thank you
Hi,
for joining.
Zishan. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
It's gonna
taking
be
the time out.
Oh, of course. It's gonna be so much fun.
Wonderful. Yes, it will be. It will be. I can imagine because I'm also intrigued to find out what is the morning routines and all that stuff to get that joyful to
Mm,
begin with. But I've done a short
yeah.
introduction for you already. But in
Yeah.
the true Tuesday Talk styles, what we're gonna do is pass the mic to you and just ask you to introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, what you do, and everybody on Tuesday Talks usually wants to know also, why do you do it, Jenny?
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, first of all, and allow me to talk to your audience about waking up in the morning and how that can actually be fun. Why I'm doing this. Okay. All right. It is the realization of you know, we are here in this incarnation, and I think all of our purpose here, is really to have fun, is really to feel love and be loved and to love, right? And my morning routines is the embodiment of all of that. It's just me spending time with myself so I could give myself more love and more fun and more joy. um, it all kind of put together, because I was just inspired when I was at a vacation, and before that, uh, I did not like a single aspect of my life. I mean, and at that point, like there was really nothing for me to be, um, like unhappy about from the
Mm,
outside. But when um, you're not in the right mindset. Maybe, it could be because of depression, it could be
mm,
like some trauma or some wounds in the past, and that emotion and all that energies kind of, come up. Yeah, that could cause like a different state of mind. And that's pretty much what was happening with me. I was an exhausted mom, and I was unhappy with everything that was going on in my life. Although I was living in a beautiful house and I had a family, and I just had my son, but I was really tired, right? And that led to a divorce, like all that unhappiness and um, well, and I was pretty depressed too. And that led me to move out of the house and build a life on my own. And I actually spent time with myself for the first time. And that's when I realized that, oh, I was just lacking self-care. I wasn't taking care of myself because all I was doing was, worrying about everybody else, everything else but me,
mm,
right? Um, and that was also a time for me to, again, identify myself, identify what I really wanted in life. And at one point, I went for a vacation, and it was in Hawaii. And then somebody woke me up it was so early in the morning. And before that, I really hated the mornings. It's like, oh my gosh, really? It's like 5:50 or 5:45 and you're waking me up to like see what? The sunrise? Like who cares? But then I was already awake, right? And it's like, okay, that's really cool. Sunrise is good. All right, now I feel like, going back to bed. Um, but then I was already awake, right? Then I realized, okay, now I have some extra time, during the day. So why not do more things? And I realized that, oh, more fun things for me to do, more fun people for me to meet, right? And then at that point, I also did not like my job. And so I came back to real life. I live in Connecticut. And I was also teaching. I'm still teaching now. But at that point, like because I wasn't happy, everything around me caused me unhappiness, right? It's
Mm.
like because I was seeing life from this filter of bitterness. And, it's like life was a drag, basically. And then at some point, I had to tell myself I can't live like this because it's just too heavy. I mean, there was a point, in like, that period of happiness when I did have suicidal thoughts. Well, thank God I didn't go through with any of it, but, but that's, pretty much like how bad it was, like, how deep I was in my mind. But then after like, a couple of decisions for
Mm.
me to just, okay, switch my perspective, right? That's like the biggest thing. And so I decided to wake up a little earlier, 10 minutes early, so I could have a little fun dancing to my favorite music. And that was very uplifting for my mood. And so I went to work a little happier.
Mm.
And I realized after I did that for a few days, the way I was interacting with my students was really different too. I wasn't as stressed out. I was more calm. And instead of reacting to stressors, I could actually say that it's not a big deal. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and so I started to do that consistently, and then I was having so much fun, right, dancing in the morning. So I felt I have to add some more time because I'm having so much fun and I want to have more fun. And so I added 5 more minutes, so that became 15 minutes. And then a couple of weeks later, I felt I want to do this a little longer. And so that was 20 minutes, right? And then I started thinking, oh, I want to do something different, adding to the dancing. So it was that time, probably a challenging yoga pose, inversion, and yeah, I was lousy that time, but I'm getting better. Right. And I started to add other things like doing push-ups because I couldn't do push-ups.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I started really small, like a quarter of push-ups and half a push-up, like after 3 months, I finally got one, right? But the point is really to get in touch with that part of me that likes to play, right? That likes to have fun. And another part of me, when I added that challenge, it was being in touch with my part that still likes growing. But you know what? Like, I forgot that, that part of me was still there because we're so stuck with, this motion of life, right, on the hamster wheel.
Mhm.
And what you really need to get out of that is step out of that hamster wheel, step out of that situation that you feel like you're stuck in. And so that's what I did. And I did that by adding a routine, adding something new, that is out of the norm. Right. So then it started to stack up. I don't know if you're familiar with James Clear, Atomic Habits. I learned about, all
Mm.
the habit stacking, right? So I've
Yeah.
already added something fun and something challenging and still fun. Then I learned about juicing. So I started juicing. So I woke up a little earlier, right? Now I have an hour. Then I added meditation, breath work, and then cold shower. And now in
Oh,
total,
wow.
now in total, my morning routine is like 2 hours and it's all fun. It's all just me focusing on myself, you know.
I love
Mm-hmm.
that. And I also wanted to say congratulations on creating that habit there, and also sharing your vulnerability here, because a lot of people are challenged by actually sharing this part of what the adversity you have to go through first to then discover and pivot all these things that we were at the one point maybe lacking. We had all this one point, but then one of my best friends is mentioned as a Rubik's cube. We get handed this Rubik's cube, and now we're trying to get all the colors on in one side, but we then focus on one side of the Rubik's cube. Hence, if the Rubik's cube is alive, and we're just focusing on one side of the Rubik's cube, we're trying. If it's yellow, we're trying to get all the yellows on one side, and not looking at what the other green, blue, if they are being
Mm-hmm.
put together or not. Maybe they are, but we're not focusing on that. So that was one side, and we're forgetting and neglecting the other sides, which are there, right? The other three, four sides, and
Yeah.
that's what I was listening to, and I was like, oh yeah, I can resonate that, and I take it that you're part of the 5 a.m. club then now by now, I take it, right? So, and it's amazing to also hear that how how much time that you realize you have once you wake up that early. I love looking at sunset as well, especially if I am abroad into places that I do wake up early and see the sun. If I get a chance, I film it as well. I film sunsets and film sunrises. It's just an excuse for me to be up there, and I've sat by my window with the camera and tripod. I know it's gonna come up and put it on time record and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and to just watch it. And then what do I do? Rest. I've got the rest. I can go out for a walk, listen to the place. If you go out for a walk where you live early in the morning, you'll see that place as you've never seen before. I've noticed
Mm-hmm.
that in my case anyway. So I've noticed things that were there, but I'd never seen it throughout the day. And I was like, when
Yeah.
did this happen? When I walked past this store and I was like, I don't remember this cafe here. And it's been there for years and years and years. And just because it's shut now and everything is nice and tidy on the street and, on the corners, and I'm noticing the stores and the signs and the road signs that I've never noticed before, and it's there, all these things. And that is me being with myself, also enjoying. I do like music as well. So yeah, walking and music and all these things come along. Uh, Dance actually helps. I've recognized that. Yeah, so getting the body moving. I
Mm-hmm.
love that you've discovered that and you were doing this and adding that time. Cold showers is something I'm still practicing. I what I do is I still have a normal shower, and then I slowly start decreasing the temperature and there is comes a time that it is cold enough for me to be in there, and but it is cold, and I slowly keep still turning it down to the point that I do get a shock now. This is cold, but I don't feel it anymore because I've been gradually getting into it. So now I've noticed my actual water temperature is 40 degrees, so this is in Celsius, and then I do bring it all the way down to 30 at one point. So that is quite cold, going down 10 degrees.
Yeah, that's very brave. I'm so proud of you.
No, thank you very much. And when you were sharing your journey, I was just thinking of that as well. I said, yeah, I actually love. I mean, there was a point I was a night owl. I can do a lot of stuff. I can stay out long, stay up late, but I enjoy my mornings now more than
Mm-hmm.
the late evenings or late nights. So if I get a chance to get up early, I will take that instead of staying out later or up later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really different, right, for everybody, depending on the time that you go to work. But the point is really giving that chunk of time for you to have fun, for you to experience joy, and for you to, you know what, generate this positive, joyful energy within you, and then you ground it with meditation, and that's the energy that is set, you know, in your body, and you go out to the world with that energy, you know. And so everything that you do, how you interact with people, whatever work that you're doing, it comes from that positive energy, right? Instead of like being depleted and exhausted, and then you interact with people from that place, right? um I mean, in the past, yes, I that's how I operated, right? And I was not a good parent because I was exhausted. Like, I had nothing to give, and I would go to work and I'd be exhausted, and I would give them as minimum as I could. And it was just not a good life,
Mm.
because I was seeing life from this filter of, I don't know, whack, um, you know, low energy, um, you know, misery. Pretty much, it
Yeah,
was pretty miserable.
it's I just resonated there as well. You know, yeah, because you were looking at a different lens in terms of the lens, which
Hmm.
was already like reached its destination with the tiredness, and you know, is it looks at it as it's continuously busy. Just have to keep going, keep going, keep going. Only because I look at it as also as you were giving, 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 and not even though if you were receiving something, you were just not recognizing it as being received, or it was just give,
Yeah.
give, give. It was receiving was, even though it was coming, you were just not recognizing it because it will be just something. Okay, thank you, and then hey, I'm still giving, I'm still giving,
Yeah, I
and
like that. You know, yeah, so that time you actually designated time for you to
mm,
receive, right?
exactly, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, instead of like having this mindset, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to give, 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 and like, you know, I have to like exhaust myself in order for me to feel good about myself. Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, yeah. No, exactly, and then and obviously when we realize that we need to actually stop and maybe receive, and that receive could mean anything to anybody. You know, it could be just receiving kind words from household family or at work colleagues,
Yeah.
or somebody noticing if somebody is appreciated, genuinely said thank you for whatever work you just did for them, or the time that you've just given them, and they've said thank you. So you've taken a step back and acknowledging that, that stops you. So it's a bit like, you know, the when we all run around with our phones nowadays, right? Every 5 minutes we look at the battery and seeing if it's being depleted or not, or do we need to, or if we get a chance, we plug it in for that 10 minutes. It doesn't do anything that 10 minutes, but we think it will do something to the phone. And yeah, you maybe get 2 extra percent, 3 extra percent, but that gives you the sense of joy that, oh, 2 extra percent, maybe it'll last me another 20 minutes, 30 minutes, right? And that comes to life as
Exactly.
well. That's why I see it. So giving yourself the how you started in the morning, that extra 10 minutes, then 15, 20 to now 2 hours and more, was that. Now you just know the pattern, like, okay, my phone can sustain that much time before I need to plug it in so that it can charge for itself until that time, and then I can use it again freely without worrying about it. And that's is we've taken us away from the worry of being the exhausted person, right? So we are thinking of that rather than saying, okay, it's my time. Let's just sit down and do this, and then
Hmm.
come back to it. So I want to ask you that question of obviously you're helping others now to unlock this for themselves as well. What does that journey look like for an individual who might want to connect with you for this?
I will be the accountability partner, your accountability coach, or, you know, I will do my best not to yell at you. But no, that's not my approach, really. But it's really a lot of exploring, right? Because like through this journey, I also discovered and I shaped a new identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
I became an early riser, used to be, yep, night owl and like, oh, such a lazy ass in the morning. Like, that was me. Right. But in the journey, we are also looking at what gives you the most joy, and you are consistently sticking with what makes you the happiest, so that you start identifying yourself as a happy person, right? And playful. And it is because it is through play and fun your body and your nervous system heals. And that was really what I realized is like, with us being stressed out, and at least, with me, because of probably exhaustion and like, all other stressors that we're so used to, our nervous system is so unregulated, right? But when you meditate, when you have fun, when you spend some time with yourself, you are consistently regulating your nervous system so that your body is again used to chilling, used to, loving and having fun. And so, yeah, I will be conducting like 2 meetings a week to make sure that you are consistent, right? And another thing that I also want to emphasize is the simplicity and the ease when you're starting. Because if you want to start a new habit, it's really important for you to start easy and simple and fun, because that's how then your body and your mind associate this new habit with positivity, with fun, and it's so much easier, right? It's like, because, okay, when I tell you, if you don't like mornings, usually it's like, well, you got to wake up tomorrow 2 hours early and go to the gym. That is a shock to your system, and it's not going to be
Definitely.
sustainable. But when you start small and easy and fun, and you do that consistently, just like, give it 5 times and 6 times. And like, by the second week, your body will get used to it, and it's not so hard. And you will have fun doing that. And then you would want to have more of it, right? So yeah, that's the point of it. So we start easy. And then we would see if you're ready for maybe a little more, right?
Oh, I see.
And
Okay.
see how that, so I like gradual and being kind and gentle to your body. And then that way your mind will, well, the idea, like the ultimate purpose is for you to be excited to wake up, to do something fun for yourself, right? It's something nourishing your mind and your body and your soul, that you would start craving for and start making that non-negotiable. And that's the point, right? Because that's how I start, like, that's what really changed my perspective about life, right? Because I made something that used to be super, super hard for me, I made it fun. And now my question is, for everything that I do, like, how can I make it fun? How can I make it easy? It's like, and I even asked myself about doing taxes. It's like, well, I found ways to make it easy, so whatever.
I love
But
this. I love this.
yeah, so that kind of like became a mantra for me. How can I make it fun? And so that was the philosophy with my lesson planning and in my interaction with my students. Because in the past, like I told you before, I did not like my job, right? But you know what? Years later, I am still in the same job. I'm still teaching, but I'm having so much more fun because I enjoy my students so much more. I enjoy the work so much more because I just have a different approach. I have a different perspective. So nothing really changes. Then my lesson is like, you know what? It doesn't really matter what your outer environment is, but when you change how you look at it from the inside, your whole world changes. Right?
I 100% agree with that, and I love that you touched upon that as well. It's and when you were sharing the example of learning slowly and being kind and be nice to your body as well. And I was thinking of, because I love driving, so I'm thinking of at one point when people who drive, when they're learning to drive, they have to take more than one lessons anyway. You're never done in 2 or 3 lessons anyway. Some people I know take it for 6, 7 months or to a year, depend on the individual. But you have to go through that journey before you are now able to sit in the car without thinking about where's the ignition, where's that stuff, and you just automatically do everything, and then you're driving, and presto, you're at your
Yes,
destination, right? And that's
exactly.
what your body takes over like that as well. When you're trying to give it a new habit, you go through it slowly, give it the time that it needs to learn it and understand it, be one with it. And before you know it, it just becomes part of you as the second nature, right?
Yeah,
And you're just doing it
exactly.
without thinking.
And now like I don't even need the alarm to wake up at 5.
Nice.
Yeah, because my body is so automated. And then it's like my body is just expecting after my workout, cold shower. And
Mm.
like I sometimes like I'll like sometimes I skip cold shower, but then like there would be times when I feel like, oh, I kind of miss that, I don't know, like that cold pang, if you know what I'm talking about. It's like, because this is so refreshing, right? But in order for you to get to that point, yeah, of course, it's the repetition, it's the consistency, right? And so something else, like the biggest point here, is because I emphasize so much on the joy, on the fun. It is because I wanted to be happy. I want to have that identity as a happy, joyful person, right? Because life is so much better like that.
100%, I agree with that. Being happy and being joyful, life is 100%. And it's also what you're doing is happiness is also contagious. Because if you're out there walking on the street with a big smile on your face, it's the other person looking at you will smile. Uh, by obviously hoping that they're not having a bad day. But if they're just walking to get to where they're going, and they just glance at you and they see you with a big smile, it's automatically going to cause them to get us. If they're not smiling with their face, they're going to be internally smiling for sure, 100%, because it's a fact out there. If somebody sees you see somebody smiling, you get that feeling of or smile inside you as
Yeah.
well.
It recalibrate you
Mm.
as a person, right? Your personality. It changes how you interact with people. Like, you are interacting with them from a different level at this point, right? In a higher vibration, higher energy, and that's where all kinds of possibilities and collaboration, deeper relationships will happen. And it's the same way with the work too, right? And I mean, like I wouldn't have known, when I started, like I'd be sitting here and talking about this with you, and helping other women with their morning routines, right? But it is because I put out, like I have set my energy in a different way, and
Hmm.
higher energy, and that um, that just opens up a new path, different paths, right? And
Definitely,
connected me
definitely.
with all kinds of people. Then you kind of learn that, you know what? Everybody really wants the same thing. They really want to be happy. They want to be the better version of themselves. So yeah.
That is what we're all trying to do since we've been pretty much born, isn't it? Because when we see ourselves, or if you see young kids or toddlers, and they're always trying to be better at what they're doing. So hence they're going
Mm-hmm.
to stand up and start walking, because they are seeing you walk. They're like, well, I can probably do this someday, and they are trying, and until one day we see them just stand up and trying to take a few steps, and that is them trying to being bettering themselves in that way. And then slowly they learn how to hold the forks, knives, and everything, rather than just creating a whole big mess whilst they're eating. So the pattern is already there. At some point, we just stop growing and paying attention to ourselves, for various different reasons. Obviously, I mean, we like to blame others. We'll say, oh, life came in. I'm a firm believer that, life only comes in between if you allow it. It doesn't just interfere with you because it likes to. It just does that because you allow it to come in. If somebody goes, oh, life happens. Well, I would say life only happens if you allow it to happen. Otherwise, if you have a great mindset of, trying to be positive, and I like to make things easier. As you're making things joyful and easier, I'm more about, okay, if I can just make things easier, I'm already happy with that. So, if it's simpler for me, how can I just make it as simpler as possible? That is including the taxes. So yeah, even better. So because some things are just like, okay, some things are important. You need to do it. It needs to be done. But how can I just make it simpler so that it's just done, and then I have more time for myself to do whatever I need to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And what we keep hearing, enjoy the journey, enjoy the journey. Like a lot of people probably find that a cliche by now. It is a cliche, but I think the better question is, how do you make it enjoyable? Right? You just have to find a way, because it's really easy. It's like life is a journey, whatever. But it is. I mean, it is, which is why you need to make it enjoyable, because you would want to enjoy the journey. It's like dancing, right? Like you don't dance to get somewhere. You want to enjoy the dance right now, the process, and be present with it. And so, adding that part, the joy, the happiness, helps me to be more present. So any activity, when you feel that, you're like in the flow when you're doing that, keep it up.
I love that. I love that as well. So obviously we know that you've created this amazing, wonderful morning routines, and you're helping others to get this morning routine as well embedded in their lifestyle and find that joy with it. Is that something you do for your afternoon or evening? How do you now close your day so that you're prepared for your 5 a.m.?
Such a good question. So in order for you to have a good morning, have a good evening. It doesn't have to be extensive. I mean, my morning routine is extensive because I love it, right? But sometimes I also do things in the evening that, I don't know, I think I have fun evenings too. Like whatever, could be just doing some work. I could be watching Netflix. I could be chatting with family and all of that. But it's also, but for a lot of people who do a lot of work in the evening, it's really important to send the signal to your brain that it is time to shut down. It's time to wind down. And so I suggest evening ritual, maybe 10 minutes of stretching, or hot shower, hot bath, or massage yourself with your favorite lotion, or meditate while you're inhaling lavender essential oils, right? All these activities that send the message to your brain that it's time to stop and shut down and rest, right? We need to have that boundary, right? When we take care of ourselves. So I close the night, just before I go to sleep, I say my gratitude. The last thought that you go to bed with is the first thought that you wake up with. Remember that? So if you go to bed saying your gratitude, think about what made you happy that day, or anything that you're grateful for, or expand this feeling of love, and you fall asleep in that, and you wake up, with that positive feeling too, then that's a momentum. And I wake up saying my gratitude too. It's like, thank you, whatever is supporting me while I'm sleeping, and I don't have to think about my breathing and my heart beating, right?
I have to, I agree there. Yeah,
And that's such a
100%.
positive momentum to wake up with. Then, it would be easier for you to move on to the next things that you are excited to do, not what you have to do, what that you get to do with joy.
Yeah, I love that, and 100%. I'm a firm believer of that as well. Gratitude, or at least reflecting on everything that positive has happened to you today.
Or your life.
Yeah, or your life. The reason being is because by the time you go to bed, when people are having these nightmares and things like that, the reason you're having is because there is some tension somewhere, and then the mind. Well, my brain works as a movie, so everything is like movie clips and things like that. So photographics and movie, the thoughts are that way. So if I'm trying to go to bed with some sort of bad thoughts in terms of like, oh, the worst things has happened to me today or throughout a few days, it will now play that in my dream, and then I'll wake up all stressed out, agitated, and things like that, because what's happening. And obviously, it's not the exact thing it's going to replay, but it will play something. But
Yeah.
yeah, going to bed with these gratitude sessions, and in terms of positive thoughts, you will be much more happier because you will now see, because your brain will only reflect on that, and it will be much more calmer, and I love that share of yours there. Thank you very much for sharing that. We will be wrapping
Of
this up
course.
shortly because I know you need to be going as well. Before I wrap this up, I ask all the guests is if they can share something they would love to share with everybody who's listening and watching now live before we wrap this up. So what would your wrapping comments would be?
That would be just my mantra question, or question mantra. How can I make this fun? Right? In everything that you do, so that you enjoy the process. That's really that's really one question that saved my life.
How can I make this fun? I love that. I probably might even use that as the title when this gets posted onto all the Spotify and other places for a podcast version. So I would like to say thank you very much, Jenny, for taking the time out and sharing your amazing journey and the perspective on joy as well. Thank you for doing that. People who are watching us live on Instagram or listening to this as a podcast version later on, if this episode created a spark or inspiration in you, it's our duty now to share with whomever or whoever that came to your mind or you think should be watching this, because we shouldn't keep this inspiration within us. We need to create that spark everywhere, because that's all we need to kickstart the engines or kickstart that person's journey of joy and happiness as well.
Yeah.
So I recommend to share this. Now, thank you very much, Jenny.
You are so welcome. And another thing is also be kind to yourself. Really, be gentle and be kind to yourself. I think we're so easy to like criticize ourselves, right? When we feel like, oh, this is not up to standards. Like, but whose standard? Like, wherever you are is perfect, and just know that you are improving. And so I think, yeah, that's just a part of human evolution. So yeah, but thank you so much for having me, Zishan. Like you heard that bell, that means I gotta go.
No,
I'm having so much fun. I love it. See, like that's like what I feel is like my juju. It's like I just love to have fun, and here I am sitting with you and having fun, just chatting with you.
Yeah, and I said it's infectious. I'm smiling and laughing already as well.
That's so cool. All right, have a great day.
You too as well. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.